Muy buena. Hoy tenemos en ajuste de vía a nuestro amigo Matt Schofield. Muchas gracias, Matt.
Muchas gracias, my pleasure. Thank you.
Ha venido a hacer una masterclass hoy aquí a Sevilla y bueno, ha tenido la deferencia de reservarnos unos minutillos para charlar con nosotros un rato. Así que bueno, vamos a intentar hacerle algunas preguntas que os aporten mucho valor porque él ya de por sí todo lo que hace lo tiene. Así que bueno, Matt, muchas gracias por tu tiempo y bueno, queríamos empezar hablando contigo acerca de tus inicios, cómo te acercaste al mundo de la guitarra y cuándo te empezó a llamar la atención.
Okay, so my influences and how I started.
Exactly.
Yes, okay. So, my dad had a great vinyl record collection, and he would listen. He would be in his like little home office thing with his headphones on, listening to this music and completely away with it. And I think I wanted to know what that was so precious to him. So I think I started asking about that, and it was records. The first guys was actually Muddy Waters and BB King. He would play a lot of that, and so then he moved to the US when I was 11 years old. He went over there. He left me some video cassettes of stuff from the TV, and one of those videos was just 3 songs of BB King, and I would watch that before I went to school. I'm like 11 years old, 12 years old. I would watch that every morning before school, having my breakfast, just like BB King, wondering if I could do that, but it seemed too impossible. BB King, just the king, how do I? And I actually even got a bass guitar first because I thought, well, maybe I could play bass for BB King, So like that was the idea in my mind, and but no, I still more wanted to be BB King, so I kept with the guitar. And then visiting my dad in America in the summer of 1990, I saw another video, and it was BB King playing with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert Collins, and so that was it. Now it all made, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen, the 3 of them playing together, and they all sound different. And years later, I realized that everybody is even tuned differently. So BB in standard tuning, Stevie in E flat tuning, Albert Collins in F minor. That's how distinctive they were, and yet they could stand on the stage together and play and have so much fun. And I was like, I really want to do this. And then Stevie died like 2 weeks after I saw that. He got killed in a helicopter crash. And so for some reason, I just turned 13 years old, like the week before Stevie got killed. It seemed like even more important that I do it, I had to do it. So I went back to school in September of 1990 and started a band. And that's what I've been doing ever since. That was the instant, I did my first gig 6 months after that, and then I never stopped gigging up until COVID was the first time that I had a break of more than a year with no gigs from the age of 13. So pretty crazy. But along with BB and Stevie and Albert Collins, right at the start, then of course I was checking out Eric Clapton, because this is 1990, so he's making those great Journeyman and 24 Nights albums. Jimi Hendrix, of course, and my dad was like, well, if you like Stevie Ray, you need to listen to Albert King, because that's where he gets it, and just so on and so on and so on. You just explore everybody. Then later on, my dad had one record that was a bit different from the other ones, which was Larry Carlton's Last Night Live, and he had these extra notes, like a little few more notes than the other guys, which was interesting to me. And then I randomly, this is probably I'm about 15 years old, randomly bought a Robin Ford album in the record shop, just like, okay, this looks cool, I'll try it. took it home. I'm like, oh, this guy really has a lot more notes than because I'd really grown up on the more traditional players. What's going on here? And then I read a Guitar Magazine interview with Robin, and he says, well, you need to listen to jazz if you want to play like I do. So I was like, okay, and he said you should have Kind of Blue if you don't have that record. It's in the magazine. So I'm 15 years old. I go and get Kind of Blue. Okay, now, because before the internet, right, you have to know somebody or somebody tells you about something. So I didn't have access to lots of jazz, it just wasn't in my world. So then I started checking that out. So Robin basically introduced me to the idea of jazz. And at the same time, I'm going to school with Johnny Henderson, who plays organ with me still very often, and also plays with Robin now, which is full circle, But so he's learning, he's getting into jazz and organ, and I think he probably introduced me to Oscar Peterson, who then became one of my biggest influences just in terms of rhythm and phrasing and things like that. So yeah, it just carries on from there. Just you start exploring music, and then even later on I discovered like New Orleans funk music, like the Meters and Dr. John, and it's all blues, jazz and funk all at the same time, New Orleans music. So I really fell in love with that as well, and it's just everything that you can think of, So that's the story of me, and 35 years later, still doing it.
Vale, y Matt, en tu día a día, ¿aún sigues estudiando como en aquel tiempo? O sea, es decir, ¿dedicas un tiempo explícito todos los días a estudiar, practicar?
No, not even close. I mean, I was insane when I was 13 or 14. Every hour that I was awake, I played guitar, and every day on both days on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, all day, we would play with the band, my school band, still friends of mine, all day. And every night after school, the band would play all night, as much as we could. So the desire for me to play was to play in a band, not just play guitar. It just so happens that I'm a guitarist. But the thing that I wanted to be B.B. King with the band, So that was the incentive, was to make music with other people. But then I'd play guitar all the time. Now, it's different because I travel so much, and so you feel like you need a bit more rest, So, like anything, you have that hugely vital period when you're young, where you're taking everything in. But as I say, the guitar is never far away from me. It's always, on the couch, or they're all over the house. Yeah, listen to music. I used to learn by ear, so it gets to a point where when I'm listening to music, I'm learning it just in my mind. I don't need the guitar in front of me as much because I built my vocabulary already. So I can listen to something and take the ideas or the inspiration and know how to play it already, if that makes sense, because I know where the notes are going to be. Certainly within not I couldn't do that with flamenco. I don't know the language enough. But for blues, at this point, pretty much anything I hear, even new to me, I can decode quickly. I can go, oh, okay, and then I can transfer it. So in a lot of ways, I'm practicing in my head all the time, and trying to think of ideas or phrasing or whatever. But also it changes, like when you're younger, you want to be, you want to get better. But it's different now. I'm not really interested in it's not like I can't play how I want to. After 35 years, I play how I want to play. I'm not missing something or failing to play how I want to, that I need to practice to figure something out that I can't do. If I like how I sound, and it's so practice is more two things: just the physical side of it. As you get older, you have to stay in shape and be, because it's kind of athletic in its own way. Obviously. Not my whole body, but definitely my hands is athletic, So I try and stay in shape physically because it's demanding, and my guitar setup is I like to fight the guitar. I like to have to work, but that'll hurt your hands if you don't keep them in good shape. And then also a process of refining playing. So instead of like learning more new stuff all the time, I'm actually trying to almost get rid of some stuff that is not interesting, and play more just like me. Yeah, just to have the most sound of my own. And sometimes that means like letting go of your influences more and more, because we're all a product of our influences, and you can never completely let them go. But two guys in particular who stand out for me for that, where they really don't sound like anyone else at all anymore. They've completely gone. When they were younger, they had more influence from other people, would be Robin Ford. He just sounds like Robin Ford. And that's something that happened, I think, more and more with him over the years. So by the time he gets into his 40s, it's just Robin Ford. And also John Schofield is someone who only sounds like John Schofield. It's not like, oh, he's doing a bit of Hendrix or he's doing a bit of Clapton. It's just John Schofield. That really is like the goal, really. So it's practice beyond physically staying in shape is more of a mental, psychological thing for me now of like, how can I refine is the word, refine more what I do to be more in essence of Matt Schofield.
En nuestro canal, muchísimos de los que nos siguen son guitarristas, y entonces sabemos que todos nos van a preguntar o todos quieren saber. Yo siempre, desde que te conozco hace muchísimos años, siempre te tengo asociado a la Stratocaster, salvo momentos puntuales, ¿no? Que has estado con Telecaster y demás. ¿Cuál es, digamos, tu equipo imprescindible a la hora de trabajar? Tanto en directo como en grabaciones.
Okay. Well, it's always a Strat for me. First of all, it starts with the Strat. I love all kinds of guitars, but this I can do anything with the Strat. If and I travel just with one guitar, and you can get a Strat to sound a bit like a Tele or a bit like a Gibson. If you want, and they feel good. I'm so used to this curve here, the shape, that anything else feels like all wrong. So I basically I slimmed down a lot of stuff that I had, and just got. I've had a 61 Strat for 25 years, and so I got rid of some other stuff and got this one, which is a 63 refinish. It had a nasty red refinish on it, so my guy Marty back in Florida fixed it up and put a nice Olympic white on there for me. So I basically just have these two vintage Strats, and that I love. I got some other cool stuff, but I'm either playing this or the 61. And amplifiers, I have been using Two Rock amplifiers for 20 years now. 2005, I think I bought my first one. Lots of different variations. We did a signature model in 2012, and then one of my best friends, Eli Lester, bought the company in 2016 to kind of save it from the direction it had been going, and him and the current team with Mac, who was there all along, Mac Skinner, have made them better than ever. So now I use Two Rock Classic Reverb most of the time, Two Rock Vintage Deluxe quite a bit, but the Two Rock Classic Reverb is really my amplifier, and I'm not ever looking for other amps. Do you know what I mean? It's true for all my gear. I'll buy a pedal just to see, but very rarely do I change anything. I'm not I'm not like out looking for something else. I like what I have. So all vintage Strat, 2-rock, and then as few pedals as I can get away with, more just to control the rig than give me any sound, you know. So I have my Mad Professor Supreme pedal, which is a signature overdrive that we developed together. One side is like the Royal Blue overdrive, and then I wanted another side that was kind of geared more towards making the bridge pickup a bit fatter. Very happy with that since we did it. I'm not like, you know, searching for more. And I always have the Mad Professor Deep Blue delay is always on, and has been on for 18 years now. So that's the kind of the little thing that if you don't really hear it, but if it's not there, you miss it, you know. So and it's literally the pedal on my board that I'm using on tour right now is the one I bought in 2007. I have some more, you know, backups and spares, but that one has been on my pedal board for 18 years. So so far, nope, that's pretty good. That's a lot of gigs, and I also have the Jam pedals Harmonious Monk tremolo, because sometimes I like some tremolo, and I use both kinds of tremolo. I use the harmonic one, almost like a univibe sort of sound, or a slight Leslie sound on fast, and then the regular tremolo maybe on a ballad, you know, just and reverb on the amp, and that is it. It's about these, man. This is what you know, and all my gain is controlled by the volume control on the guitar, so I'm constantly adjusting that, constantly. Tone a little bit too, sometimes you take just a little bit off there, you know, but I don't even do that much anymore. It's all in this, so I might have like the main drive switched on the Supreme, the most boosted side, but then only have the guitar on like 8, you know, so there's like infinite tones just in the volume control. So that's the most important piece of gear in a way, you know. That's my voice, and controls the gain and the dynamics and everything. So yeah, but that's it. Vemurim, also great company from Japan, very good friends, very supportive. I've been using their Booty G boost in front of the Supreme because I don't usually like stacking pedals because it gets too compressed, and I don't want lots of compression. I want a big, open, dynamic sound. But the Booty G you can push into the Supreme, and it doesn't get too compressed, and it kind of is fun to have like maybe another little boost. But on a gig, I wouldn't turn that on for like maybe the first hour at all. I like save it up to, otherwise it's too easy to just put all the gain on at the beginning, you know. So I try and work up to that, and I also use their cables as well. Booty G, Vemurim, sorry, use their cables, and they make really great stuff. So that's the gear.
And the pick.
Kurt Mangan. Oh yes, well, very important. Strings. Very
exactly.
important. Kurt Mangan from Colorado for I think 16 years now. I've been playing his strings, and now I'm using mostly the pure nickel round core. So they're like strings from the mid 1960s, like vintage style. These are played to death right now from the gig the other night. So they're not a good representation of how good it is, because I forgot to wipe it down after the show because it was like, you know, 1 a.m, just like, okay, put the guitar away. So I didn't wipe it down, and they're just there. But I change them most gigs anyway, most shows anyway. But 11 to 52. And the picks are Kurt's version of Tortex blue ones, the 1mm, but they're Kurtex. They're same thing. So, and that's it, you know.
Nos gustaría que pudieras tocar un pequeño lick, como un consejo musical o algo para nuestros espectadores, una pequeña frase de blues que a ti te guste, para que ellos puedan aprendérsela también.
So,
Es importante que sepáis que Matt tiene unos cursos en True Five, por si queréis probarlo. Yo soy usuario de ellos y la verdad que está genial, súper recomendado. Luego dejaremos por ahí la descripción.
So let me think, because I try not to think about licks, first of all, just as a pre-qualifier to this. I try and think about having a vocabulary that I can draw upon at any time with whatever comes to mind, whereas I think of a lick as like a fixed thing that goes from there to there always. So anything that I play is not really a lick. You can make it into a lick if you want to learn it from that note to that note, but for me it's just the notes that happened at that moment, based upon my vocabulary. But I suppose it would be more like rhythmic things that I would call the licks in my playing, rather than, because I might apply it to any set of notes, but rhythmically I would follow. So a simple version of that, if we are in A, would be, I don't know why I'm turning the volume. Is maybe something with the triplet, like, so if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that kind of tumbling feeling that I first really noticed in Mitch Mitchell's drumming when I was a kid, 12, 13 years old, listening to Jimi Hendrix. Mitch would play all those drum fills. I loved that feel of this rolling sound. So I tried to put that into the guitar. So in A, you might play something like, these strings are so dead. It's terrible. And so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and landing the, that's very important. And then you can kind of make it even fancier than that with something that I like this particular sound. I like this sus kind of sound over, right? So that would be a very Matt Schofield thing to play. It's like the notes of the Mixolydian played as a suspended chord, like an 11th, right? Anyway, it's not really a lick, because if I do it again, it'll be just different again, but the idea is in the concept. So I like that sound. And then something I've never talked about on an interview before, because it's kind of new to me, but a sound I'm really enjoying using a little bit. So this kind of ties in, I suppose, with what we were talking about, like practicing these days. And I still try and find something new, but then I slowly let it come into my playing instead of trying to like force it in. I get the sound in my ears, and I really got into the sound of on the 4 chord of a blues. So if we're in A, the D would be the Mixolydian with a sharp 4 degree in the scale. So it would be, I think see here, if I try and play it as just a scale, I got it wrong because I just don't think like that. But the sound of it is like, because I learn them as sounds, like not patterns, so that I can play them. Yeah. That's really what I have to get the sound in my ear and my mind, so then when I'm improvising, I know how to reach for it, So that's that. But that's the Mixolydian. So this is D Mixolydian with that note with the sharpened 4th degree gives this just slightly more exotic twist, like just a little more exotic. So you could play the regular Mixolydian that I do all the time, like, or you can play. And that one note difference becomes like a different sound. So that would say the newest thing I've learned, but it's the new, it's a sound that I'm reaching for more, like, and want to integrate. Funny, at the gig the other night, I played on the ending of a little free thing I played. I don't even know what the scale is called. I ask someone every time and I forget because it's just a sound. It's not important. But it's... that, whatever that is another sound I like. You can play it... it's great over like the 5 chord of something, of a minor. You know, something like that. But I played it at the end of an improvisation, just me on guitar at the gig the other night. I played it, and a lot of people in the crowd went "Ole!" And I thought that was so cool that their ear immediately picked it up. And it's not quite the same as the flamenco scales, but it's the flat 9 sound. It's that flat 9, right? It is. So it was great, but I guess that's sometimes. So I never sat and learned like all the scales at the same time. So still, the reason I'm telling you about that scale or the Mixolydian Sharp 4 is that I still learn like a new one, like really slowly over years. And then it just creeps into my playing once the sound is in there. So it was never like, must learn this scale, must learn this scale. Once I had the major and minor pentatonic, I was playing. And then gradually other sounds have come in, and they still do, those being the newest ones that now I reach for with my ear. So maybe in another 20 years, I will actually finally be able to play jazz, because I've just very slowly over 50 years learned all the scales. But see, that stuff is not that interesting to me in a way. What's interesting is playing with the band, the sound of the guitar, jamming, making great music, the groove, the feel. That's interesting. Scales are boring, you know.
Nos comentaba antes también más en la masterclass que él no practica nunca con backing track ni practica escalas porque sí, siempre le gusta tocar con bandas y escuchar mucha música, ¿no? Que es de lo que se trata. Una cosita más, Matt, ¿qué consejo le darías a aquellos guitarristas que nos puedan estar viendo que le gusta, o sea, que tuviesen dentro de sus planes a futuro dedicarse musicalmente a tocar la guitarra? ¿Qué consejo le daría?
Yeah, okay. My advice is rhythm. I don't mean rhythm guitar, just strumming. I mean everything you play it in time. Work on your time. Work on your internal body clock, so that because you are the music, you are the rhythm. The guitar is not going to play itself for you. You make this. You are the master of this, you know? So everything that you do, it comes out of this. Rhythm in your body when you play, being open, feeling the music, moving with the music, breathing with the music. When I'm playing, you know, my fingers are pushing down on the strings in rhythm, you know, like, right? Well, this hand's going dun, dun. My fingers are playing the rhythm with this hand as well as this. It's all from every bit. So you only need like a couple of good notes if your rhythm's great, you know. So you know, that's just a very simple stuff, but you play it in time. So always practice in time, rhythm. You know, if you feel like maybe your rhythm isn't as good as it could be, get a metronome, practice a metronome, and like so that I mean, if you do a really, really slow metronome and try and play along, especially if you make it so that the metronome is the 2 and 4 of the snare drum. So it'd be like 1, click, click, and then slow, and you have to play along with it and stay in time without the help, and see if when it clicks again, you're still in time. Challenge yourself like that if you think your time needs work. And then after that advice is simple and good is better than complicated and shit. You know, like
Buen consejo.
but like, you know, sometimes I often use a food analogy, you know, but sometimes the best meal is the simplest one where the ingredients are perfect, you know. Maybe it's just a plate of Iberico jamon, you know, because it's quality, and it, you know, or you know, when we're in Italy and they make a thing of pasta with 4 ingredients, that's more engaging quite often than a very complicated, you know, lots of toppings on, you know, too much sauce, whatever. Yeah, I like that kind of simple thing. So don't be afraid to play simply, but work on like playing it well. So it's like there's no end to how well you can play something simple. So it can always be built on the complexity on the basis of the foundation being strong. And the only other advice is enjoy it. You know, enjoy it. Like, and then it's easy. If you like doing it, it's fun, right? And then you'll just get better. You'll by having the guitar be part of your life. That's the main thing. And play with other people. Have a good time. Make music together. Bring people together. You know.
Siempre le preguntamos a todos nuestros invitados, y es una pregunta un poquito trampa, si un día terminas viviendo en una isla desierta en la que hay luz, importante, hay luz.
Okay.
Solo podrías tener una guitarra concreta, un amplificador concreto y un pedal concreto. Y una nevera para cerveza.
Okay. Well, either one of my 2 vintage Strats, probably my 61, because
61.
I've had it more than half my life, you know, and it's that's why I don't travel as much with that one. But it's just the sentimental value, you know. This one might even sound a bit better, but the way the other one feels after so many years of me on it, you know. So that, yeah, probably my 2-Rock Classic Reverb. I'm always very happy with that for the amplifier. And I guess, well, it's tricky. If it's only one pedal, then
Only one pedal.
I mean, I would miss my delay pedal. I would miss that if I didn't have it, even though you don't really hear it. So I still probably would have taken my overdrive. So my Supreme overdrive, I guess. Excuse me. And then I can do any gig still on the island, you know. So if somebody comes over for a beer, you know. We can,
Bueno, Matt, ha sido de verdad un placer tenerte. Para mí, sabes que en lo personal siempre ha sido un referente musical, y poder compartir música incluso contigo en directo siempre es un lujo. Siempre a todos nuestros invitados les hacemos un obsequio, con lo cual contigo no iba a ser menos. Así que te entregamos para que seas miembro oficial del club de y se aprecien
Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you. What's in here then?
Para que te tomen los cafés por la mañana en esa
Fantastic. Adjust the bias. I love it. Look at that. Fantastic. And I do love coffee as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Muchas gracias, Matt.
Thank you, mate. Thank
Gracias.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bueno, pues nada, señores, hasta aquí la charla con Matt. Esperamos que sigáis ahí, darle al dedito para arriba y todas esas cosas, suscribiros, en fin, comentarle a todos los amigos que pueda interesar este contenido que estamos por aquí, y nada, os seguimos viendo.
Venga,
Hasta luego, gracias.